If you are experiencing foundation issues, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Coming up about 7 minutes before, make it 6 minutes before the hour, 47 degrees in downtown Sylacauga. Dustin Brown, who's the worshipful master for Coosa Valley Masonic Lodge number 929, joins us this morning. Dustin, good morning.
Good morning, Jimmy.
Good to have you with us this morning. And to be honest with you, there's been descriptions of the Masons as a religious organization, a political organization, a secretive organization. What is the Masons, and tell us about it this morning.
Well, Masonry is the oldest known fraternity to man. Every civilization back since the beginning of time has had some form of this fraternity. And it's not a secret society. If it was, you wouldn't know I was a Mason. You wouldn't see our posted meetings and all that. And it's not a religious organization, even though God is the center of everything that we do. Mm-hmm. We base everything we do off of the Bible. And so it's just, it's the oldest fraternity known to man. And every fraternity out there, everything to the Rotary Club, is a spin-off of Freemasonry.
Now, is this for women and men, or is it?
No.
Okay.
In some parts of the world, they have accepted women in Freemasonry, but most places have what they call the Eastern Star, and that would be the side of it for women. Mm-hmm. But you must be a man to be a Freemason.
So how did you get started in this?
Well, actually, my granddad was a Mason, and I didn't know much about it when I was younger. My mom just always told us we could trust a man with that symbol if we ever got in any kind of trouble. So we knew then who Masons were, that they were just basically good people that helped people. And like I said, my grandfather was a Mason, and my brother got into Masonry about 17, 18 years ago, and that prompted me I got interested in it then. So we
talk
actually
about the symbol. What does that signify?
There's many symbols, but the square and compasses, I can tell you all about that. The square teaches us to square our actions with mankind. The compass teaches us to circumscribe our desires, keep our passions in due bounds, set some boundaries. And of course, the G has a double meaning. It stands for God, and then also geometry, because everything that is built requires geometry. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Dustin Brown, who is the worshipful master. You were just elected to this position, what, back in June?
Back in June, yes.
So what is this about?
Well, it would be hard to sit here. We could sit here for days and talk about it. The best description I could have is the Constitution of the Lodge and the way we conduct our business and our morals, everything, is the United States government is a direct reflection of that. And such as you have a president, the House, and the Congress, you have a worshipful master, senior warden, and junior warden, which your son, mm-hmm. Dustin Williams, is the junior warden of that. So everything you see in the United States Constitution is a direct reflection from the Masonic Lodge. There's a lot of history on it. Roughly 200, 300 years before we became a nation, plans were set at a place called Foggy Bottom, USA, or Foggy Bottom, which is Washington, D.C. now. And there was actually blueprints for the Capitol and Washington, D.C. itself laid out as early as those times. So the country was not born overnight.
Wow. And I've heard it said, and I know that I've heard it, you brought it up this morning, the supposed secrecy of the Masons.
Okay, secrets. I get asked about the secrets all the time. And like I told you, the secret is there's no secrets. If you're Christian, you're living the life of a Mason. And we base everything off of biblical teaching. And the only thing that we keep secret is called grips and what other people would call handshakes and our modes of recognition. And what that does, it allows us to tell not only if a man is a Mason, but what level of Mason he is, entered apprentice, fellow craft, or journeyman.
So the handshake signifies that?
Yes, and there's not one handshake, there's a lot of handshakes. So yes, we can tell a Mason in the dark as well as the light.
Wow.
Without even saying a word.
Why, Dustin, and certainly appreciate you coming on this morning, because I think it's going to answer a lot of questions about the Masons. And Dustin is the worship master, Coosa Valley Masonic Lodge 929. Where does it come from that the Masons are anti-God?
Misconceptions, disgruntled people that maybe were not accepted into the fraternity, just throughout the years of not knowing, and what people don't know, they tend to make up themselves. But one misconception, if I can word this right, there was a Masonic writer named Albert Pike who really studied into the history and the origins of Mason, and it's all about light. When you bring something into the light, you discover the truths, and the connection. He said it's kind of ironic that what we are seeking as Masons, light, Satan himself was the light bearer. He said, and it's kind of ironic that, that is the ultimate enemy. Well, through the years, that got turned into Masons worship the devil. And I've had lots of people that are not part of the fraternity tell me everything about the fraternity. So
we know, huh?
Right. And, I've been told that you need to get out of that, and they don't reveal it. There's higher up Masons that they reveal this stuff to. But we have appendant bodies, Shriners, of course, Scottish Rite and York Rite Masonry. But the highest level Mason a man can be is a 3rd degree Blue Lodge Mason, and that's what Coosa Valley is a Blue Lodge. And you see different symbolism, such as a plum, a level, and a square. And all those things teaches us, like the plum, to be upright with people, the square to square eye actions, and the level is that all men are on the same plane on this planet. That's why we call each other brother. Doesn't matter if you're the President of the United States, which many presidents have been Freemasons, and it doesn't matter if you're washing dishes at a local restaurant. If you are a Mason, we are all equal, because we are all walking through the same journey together, and we refer to each other as brother, because none of those titles, like doctor, president, or anything, mean anything in the lodge.
Do the Masons publicly identify themselves as such?
They do. Now, I understand in some places like in England, they're not allowed, and they are considered a secret society in England in some places, and they can't wear the rings or any kind of paraphernalia or regalia, and they actually have rings that'll flip over. So when they go to their meetings, they'll flip their rings over. So yes, but here we're out in the open. Like I said, we're not a secret society, because if we were, you wouldn't know I was a member of it, or even where we held our lodge.
What do y'all do?
Well, we do a lot of things, such as our bass tournament here. We just try to be pillars in our communities, and it's not always advertised. If you've got a Mason working for you, I guarantee you, if he's living by the code of Masonry, that is one of the best workers you have. Masonry is designed to take good men and make them better. It doesn't matter, and make him a better husband, make him a better Christian. It will make him a better employee.
This bass tournament, it's a 6th annual scholarship bass tournament down at Lay Lake. That's coming up, right? Yes.
We had to postpone it. It was supposed to be last weekend, and of course the weather was bad, so we postponed it to November the 7th. And what it is that's where we raise money for scholarships in the 4 surrounding schools: Fayetteville, Childersburg, Comer, and Sylacauga. And we try to give at least 1 scholarship away in each school, and as we can, and make more money. So come out and help and participate. We give more scholarships away. We have given more away in the past, but things like COVID and stuff like that has been a setback for everybody.
Now, this is going to be Saturday down at Lay Lake, and actually November the 7th at Lay Lake, and it's at Beeswax Public Boat Launch? Okay.
Yes, Beeswax, and we'll start at Safe Light. I've got to get up real early in the morning to be there, and so have the other brothers that's going to be there. And but it's a guaranteed $2,000 payout, and we've got a lot of wonderful sponsors, as you can tell on
Yeah.
the paper there, from around the surrounding areas.
So you don't have to be a Mason to participate in
No,
that?
no, absolutely not. And you don't have to be a Mason to, your child does not have to be kin to a Mason or anything. All they have to do is apply in the counselor's office for the scholarship.
Yeah.
The only requirement there is that you've already been accepted into a school of some sort. And it does cover trade schools also.
Wow.
So,
Dustin Brown, who is, what, 17 years ago?
yes, roughly, I think. Memory's getting a little,
Yeah.
2003, 2004, something
So,
like that.
as a worshipful master, what are your duties?
My duty is to give the fraternity proper instructions on things that we were doing, and this is just one of the many things that we handle, and it's mostly charitable. I will go into the Shriners. Everybody's familiar with
I
the
remember
Shriners.
them coming to Silicon parades.
Sure. And the Shriners Hospital, they're well known. You've got a child with that's been burned. They'll take care of everything. You don't owe 1 red cent when you're done, and they'll take parents, put them up in hotels if they have to come to that hospital or whatever. York Wright has eye foundations. Masonry worldwide has several hospitals throughout the world, and it just helps people that are underprivileged or in bad situations, and it helps them obtain the things that they need, especially for health.
Yeah. Now, how many men are a part of the Coosa Valley Masonic Lodge?
We have roughly this year, because of a lot of deaths, we have roughly 100 members right now.
Oh, wow.
And that is a low number. It has been up to probably 300 and 400 in the past. And that's another avenue of discussion. We all know society has declined. And when I say that, nowadays, people idolize thugs, for lack of a better word, and nobody's really drawn into being the square man. Back in the 50s.
So that's not popular, huh?
No, it's not popular at all. But the good thing is being part of the fraternity, I do meet young men that have been raised with a good work ethic, good moral values, and we're able to take those men and just expand on that throughout their lives. So that's basically what it is. If I had to put it in a nutshell, taking good men and making them better.
So why has this been the history of the Masons, to take good men and make them better men? Why is that so important?
Well, I guess for our children, we want men. I mean, we want our children to grow up and be the best they can. I think it's best described with an organization called the Odd Fellows, which is a direct spinoff of Freemasonry, and they were known as just men who did good things for no reason at all. It just seems to be the right thing to do. So
That's refreshing.
yeah, so that's a great fraternity. You see a lot of that up in the northern states and stuff. I wouldn't know of one in the southern states anywhere. I'm sure they do have fraternities though.
Yeah. I'm sure that as a Mason for some 17 years, and now the worshipful master, Coosa Valley Masonic Lodge 929, this has been posed to you or said about the organization. These are bad people. You need to stay away from them. This is not good.
We get that. We get that a lot. A lot of terms, a lot of terminology in our own language, like true and blue, that comes directly from the Blue Lodge. Or he gave me the 3rd degree. That's the Master Mason degree. We use this in everyday language and don't even realize it. Going back to just disgruntled people that may have been rejected for some reason of not obtaining membership, have just come up with bad things about the lodge.
Speaking of,
one example, and I don't use this term. You'll hear it, and I don't condemn a Mason that does because of they're ignorant to where it came from. But you're familiar with the Salem witch trials, and we were killing men, because we thought they were witches. And there's a term called riding the goat. Now, we've all heard about a goat in the Masonic Lodge, and I assure you, we have some 300-pound members. You could imagine one of those guys riding a goat. And the reason I don't use that is that actually has something to do with a ritual and witchcraft that involves the devil. And it's like the final ritual in witchcraft. And it's referred to as riding the goat. So, and I can't remember the man's name, but during when the witch trials were going on in Salem and in England, people started pointing fingers at everything, and Freemasonry was picked out. And a guy referred to them as riding goats and stuff like that. So I try not to use that terminology, because it does just put a bad display on Masonry. But Masonry is all about, it's like brick masonry. You've got to have a good foundation to anything you're building. So that's what it's about, is making sure you don't cut corners. You build those things that are upright, and those things that are level.
How does one become a member of this organization?
Well, being a barber, I've been told, when people figured out I was a Mason, I've been told all kind of things. Well, I was tapped for that or tagged for that, and I was asked to be in the lodge. We cannot ask a man to be a Mason. You've got to come on your own free will and accord.
So you don't go out and recruit them, right?
No, we don't recruit them. No, I could look at you and say, and I think you would, you'd be a great Mason. I could say things like that, sort of a soliciting, I guess, but no, it's got to be on the candidate's own free will and accord. And I know that's kind of funny, and I was the same way. Well, how do I desire to be in something that I know nothing about, you know? But, and then that can carry you into faith. I mean, it really makes you look deep into your heart. I went through York Rite Masonry, and 3 times I had to swear that I was a Christian. The 4th time I had to put it in writing. Wow. So yes, this is a requirement. I've been told things like, you have to denounce Jesus Christ in the lodge. You can't, we open every meeting in prayer. And our chaplain, all the brothers in our lodge are Christians. Now, if you go to another country, which they don't exist anymore, Saddam Hussein put an end to that in Iraq, Muslim lodges, and you would see the Quran on the altar rather than the Bible. That's where we say it's not a religious order. It's just built off religious principle, off godly principles. Now, personally, I don't know one Muslim that is a Mason, and the reason that Saddam Hussein put a stop to it is because the values and the teachings in Masonry, he said, was too Jewish. So, you know, it all comes from the Bible, and I can say this, there is part of the 3rd degree that very much involves Jesus Christ, but you've got to understand, this goes all the way back to Solomon's temple. So he was known under different names then, such as the Lion out of the tribe of Judah. So yes, he is very much in, if you would, the signs and the road signs and the arrows. It does point to Jesus Christ. Wow.
Dustin Brown, who's a worship master at Coosa Valley Masonic Lodge 929. Our guest this morning, the 6th Annual Scholarship Bass Tournament, Lay Lake Beeswax Public Boat Launch, November the 7th. And from daylight till later afternoon, and you know, there's some pretty good prizes for this thing too.
Yes. We have a lot of door prizes. We have, of course, Big Fish prize. So all day long they'll be giving away different stuff.
And if you'd like more information, where do they need to go?
Well, it's on here, and Jimmy,
get your glasses on.
Get my glasses on, and this flyer is actually new, so I'll have to look at it. I could say numbers out here, but I doubt anybody would remember them. But you could get online. You could get on Facebook and find us.
Can they contact you?
Yes, you can contact me. But actually, we have 4 people here with numbers. Did you want me to read them out?
No, it's okay.
But Tommy Bassett, Les Smith, Milton Blakely, Michael McLean, anybody that's affiliated with Coosa Valley Masonic Lodge, you can get in touch with about this bass tournament. And it's the flyer on the front, tells you everything, and our sponsors. And on the back is actually the registration. And I'm sorry I don't have the information, but right offhand, but you can apply online for that too. Okay. You can
Who are some of the Masons that, not particularly in this local area, that are in politics, that are in the movie industry or whatever?
Oh, sure. Lots of them. Well, first thing I think of in politics is the father of our country. George Washington was actually worshipful master of his lodge in Virginia when he became president of the United States. And he was actually, the Constitution was written in that same lodge and signed in that same lodge. Paul Revere was a Mason. 39 men, signers of the Constitution, were Freemasons. So if you really look into that, you'll see that, and not just this country, but every civilization out there, at some form or another, there was the fraternity behind the building of that nation. So it's all to do with civilization. John Wayne was a Freemason. Brad Paisley, the country singer, a lot of country singers and stuff are Freemasons. So
you use the term Freemasons. Describe that a little bit more.
Well, you go back to Solomon, the building of Solomon's temple. People were not free to go from one country or sometimes one town to the next. And as a builder, you could obtain the status of Master Mason, and you became a Freemason. You could travel with the consent of the king, but you probably had some kind of document stating that, or maybe grips, however. But you did not have to, say, go through all the borders and wait and all this. You were a Freemason, you had free reign. You could go from one place to the other for your craft. And I'll add to that, and there's nobody over there to throw rocks at me, but Jesus himself, being a carpenter, these were guilds, these fraternities were guilds, such as your iron workers. They have a local, fraternity. So if you worked in that trade back then, you had to be a member of a guild. So it would be safe to say that even Jesus Christ himself was a Freemason. He certainly would have been ran out of town if he come in, set up, started working, and taken these guys' livelihoods. And that's what it was. Things that are common knowledge now, like what is a square? It's the quarter part of a circle. It takes 4 squares to make a circle. That was not always common knowledge. Those were trade secrets, and they hid this, and that was to protect their livelihood.
Wow. I'm sure there are people watching this show this morning who will pose the question, why no women?
Why no women? Because... or
why no females, maybe I should say.
Right. Because of the fact that, simply, like I said, it's all based on biblical knowledge and directions from God, and God set the man over the order of the earth. And it's his responsibility in the family to take on these roles. And so that in itself, if I've made myself clear, is the reason that a woman can't be a Mason.
So the men should be in the leadership position?
We should be in the leadership position, yes.
Right. Now, the Coosa Valley Masonic Lodge 929, it has a physical building here?
It does. Is that called? I've been here 30 years and I'm still trying to learn the terrain.
You just know where
I can
it
tell
is?
you down by that pole and that mailbox or that tree. It is Center Hill Road is right across 280. So that would be Old Birmingham Highway or Old
Childersburg or Sylacauga?
Old Childersburg
Highway. Old Sylacauga Highway.
A better way, the way I give direction is Heath's Upholstery Shop, where the Jolly Green Giant used to be right there before you hit 280. We're directly across the road from there.
Okay. Dustin Brown, who's a worshipful master at Coosa Valley Masonic Lodge 929, our guest this morning. The 6th annual scholarship bass tournament coming up at Lay Lake, November the 7th. And before we go this morning, what are some of the other programs that you guys are involved in? I know you got the bass tournament, but there are other things too.
There are other things, and there are other things in the workings. Like I said, we've lost a lot of people. Last year, we had more than 5 deaths, and these were instrumental men in the lodge. So some things come, some things go away, and that's kind of my job, is to try to build other things, such as mostly fundraisers. to help the needy out, and just make sure we're sustained and we're still there.
You mentioned the deaths of some of the Freemasons in the local area. It's a special part of a funeral service that you guys participate in. Talk about that before we go this morning.
Well, I know there's a long version and a short version, and you've probably seen both. And Tommy Bassett now is usually the one that handles those, the layout of all that. And just looking at it now, he'll explain what he's doing, and there's nothing secret in that. But basically, it is all about the passing from the operative lodge here on earth going into the most supreme grand lodge we refer to as heaven, with the supreme grand architect, which is God.
Now, there's particular attire. I can't exactly.
Regalia. All that is that's our symbolism. Like I said, there's more than just one symbol, and of course, a symbol is. It would take us all day to sit down and explain this symbol. So when you read us, before there was words, there were symbols.
Okay.
And they were signs. We have signs also. I guess one of the first original signs was, you know what that means, come here.
Come here.
Or go there. So
I'm told come here a lot.
Yes. And you better do that. But it was just forms of communication.
Okay.
So signs and symbols have been around before the spoken word, other than God's spoken word.
Hey, Dustin, thanks for taking time to come this
Well,
morning.
thank you, Jimmy Dale.
And if people would like to find out more about the Freemasons, I know there's some directions they can go to look at it and find out more.
Well, you can, and you've got to keep an open mind. You know, the information superhighway, the internet, that is a great place to start, but it's hard for a person that is not a Mason to distinguish what's real and what's not. And as far as the secret work, we've took an obligation that we would not share that. But obviously, throughout the years, some men have changed their minds or whatever, or gotten disgruntled, and they have exposed all that. So you can see all the stuff that I'm saying is secret. You can read it online, but without the teachings, you would not understand what it's even saying. And it's not in order. So the internet's one way to find out, but I would say find a Mason, and he'll be glad to sit down and talk to you. And I always tell people, if you ask me the question, I'm obligated to give you that answer. So I'm not withholding anything that I can say. I'm just obligated not to reveal those grips. And those are for fraud purposes. You don't want just anybody coming into the lodge and frauding the lodge or a church, you know, without knowing it is legit.
Absolutely.
So that's what all that secrecy is about.
Dustin, thanks so much for coming this morning.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Dustin Brown, Worshipful Master, Coosa Valley Masonic Lodge 929 here in Sylacauga. We got more Daybreak right after this.